Everyone, today I'm going to do a reflection on effective teaching. So today I'm going to talk about what's the difference between teaching and learning, what makes an effective teacher, and what is effective teaching. So what is the difference between learning and teaching? Learning is something that is acquired individually by themselves. Okay, it's about changing in thinking, feeling, or behaving. Whereas teaching is something that is taught by a person. That means a second person is involved in teaching. So learning is done independently, whereas teaching is something that is taught by another person. It can be anything: ideas, belief, content, techniques, and so on. So what makes an effective teacher? There are many characteristics, alright, but I'm going to just emphasize on 5 characteristics, which is sense of humor, flexibility, fairness, positive attitude, and goal-oriented. So let's start with positive attitude first. So a teacher should always have a positive attitude towards something, even though the student might be a bit challenging, but it is the job of the teacher to accommodate to that, even though it can be sometimes it can be really tough, and I understand that. But to have a positive attitude towards that student is not just for the benefit of that student, but to the students in the classroom itself. Okay, it shows that my teacher can handle the tough situation, and then they feel safe around the teacher. The second one, sense of humor. It is important for a teacher to have a little bit of sense of humor to make students feel comfortable. Teachers that are too strict creates fear in the classroom, and will make learning a little bit difficult for our students. And it's important to be flexible as well. By being flexible, not all the time, but at sometimes when students come and actually talk to you and tell you why such thing has happened and why they can't do it, it is our job to try to help them in any way possible, but we have to make sure that it's not being taken advantage of. Okay, so being flexible and being too lenient is two different things. All right. Another one is fairness. All right, teachers always have to be fair and just, not to be prejudiced or discriminatory towards the student. The final one is goal-oriented. I think this is very important in being an effective teacher, because by being a goal-oriented teacher, you get to have goals at the end of every lesson. That means whether your objective has been achieved or not, and that will not just help you as a teacher, but also the students, so you can see your students progress from one lesson to another. So that is the effective. That are the characteristics of an effective teacher. So what is effective learning now? So effective teaching. Okay, so effective teaching is the ability to provide instruction to different students of different abilities. In my previous videos, I mentioned about how Howard Gardner talked about the 7 multiple intelligences. Okay, in the world today, we have students with different learning abilities, as different ways of learning. All right, we can't just teach one way. Maybe this student is more mathematically savvy, and so we teach them. We assume the whole class is mathematically or logical thinkers. That is not true. We have students that learn content differently, and so it is our job to make sure that we execute the lessons that enable different type of learners to understand the content properly. All right. The primary purpose of effective teaching is to facilitate student learning. So at the end of the day, it's getting students to be independent learners, not just do rote teaching or rote memorization. In the world today, in the 21st century, I think that has already changed. It's more towards creating critical thinkers and problem solvers, and also independent learners, which is very important. All right, so teaching is the facilitation of learning, as I've already mentioned, and students learn best by being able to plan, act, and reflect. So these are the 3 the 3 processes. So the first thing, you maybe for the first 15 minutes you start with an introduction. All right, talk about the objective of what they want to learn, and why is it that it's important that the lesson has to be executed in that way. And then the middle is where you deliver your content, and then at the same time, maybe your content delivery is 20 minutes. So 10 minutes on delivery content, 10 minutes on them working on the content that you've just delivered. And then finally at the end is the summary, okay, a reflection of what has been taught. So maybe 10 minutes on that. So this is where you might want to give them homework, or make them do some group activities, or maybe do a pop quiz. Okay, it's up to you on how the lesson is conducted. So I believe that is how an effective teaching session should be. So why is it important to have an effective teacher that delivers effective teaching? I believe this is important so that it will cultivate a proper culture within this classroom, and students actually get to learn something that is very beneficial for them, and something that they don't find boring or challenging. Alright, so that is the end of my reflection today. I hope this reflection would be useful for teachers out there. Alright, bye.